I hope you're ready for a very cheesy series of StarCraft 2. So what I've got for you today is a best of 3 that was played at HomeStory Cup. Now the man right here playing with the red Zerg drones, at this particular tournament, he earned more money than Lembo, than Clem, and then even Cyril, because he ended up winning the bonus award for best cheese of the tournament. Now I haven't seen this series yet, but from what I understand, it's an absolute banger. So I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down. Now game number 1 in this best of 3, we find ourselves on the map Krefeld. And right at the very start of the game, our Zerg player decides to send out a drone. Okay. Playing right here in the top left-hand corner with the red Zerg pieces from Sweden and only 16 years old. We're looking inside of the main base of Fjant. Now, I have seen a bunch of Fjant games over the years, but not really a strategy like the one that we're witnessing. Oh my god, what's going on? Okay, his opponent playing right here with the blue Protoss pieces. One of the greatest Protoss players from the European server. He represents Team Liquid and he goes by the name of Skillous. Alrighty, Skillous versus Fjant in a best of 3 with a proxy hatchery right at the start of the game. I was thinking maybe he should place it over here, but I guess the timing of this proxy hatch is so early that it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. He literally started this game by sending a drone across the map and then insta-built the hatch. Skillous has been scouting on the other side. He's looked at every single location, it seems, where a third or a natural could be taken. At this point, he does see the timing here as well. Has he spotted it? Yeah, okay, so he did send out a probe just now to figure out exactly what he is playing against. There's already a drone waiting here. A little bit of indecisiveness, actually. He wants to go for a forge. Yeah, decides to trade out the forge for a gateway. The drone out here is definitely gonna be, yep, for a Spine Crawler. Okay, so Fjant going for, well, a complete all-in. This has to win the game, because otherwise I don't think there's really gonna be a whole lot of ways for him to transition here. As far as the work account goes at this point, you can already tell that Zerg is very far behind in that department, and every minute that goes by, Protoss is just gonna be able to produce a whole lot more stuff. So, the clock is ticking. Slowlings, though, are running across the map. Queen is coming up over here as well. 2 spines right now. Good control here so far on these zealots, though. And this spine, yep, it is also gonna get cancelled. Okay. Another spine once again starts up. Queen now also available though. One of the zealots is starting to take a whole lot of damage, and I do feel like it's gonna be difficult to escape. Don't lose them both. Okay, that actually is very unfortunate. He loses both of them. Now at this point, yeah, the positioning right here of the hatchery is good enough. Ooh, careful. It is good enough to, yeah, get those spine crawlers within range right here of all of these structures. 2 shield batteries here, try to heal each other up, but one of them have already gone down, and the other one, well, healed up that shield battery in front, and that shield battery is now gone. Additional batteries are coming up right behind the wall. The Queen just simply marches in. Stalker in a little bit of trouble. Another Stalker does pop out of the gateway, and it's critical that these gateway units do stay alive. Okay. He's trying to see if he can hunt it down. Spine Crawler right now is working on whatever it can. Once again, back to the safety of the batteries. One of the Stalkers is stuck. Decides to recall it. I actually don't think that was an ideal position, but it wasn't bad either. That sort of was a perfect spot to just deal damage to anything, because there wasn't a whole lot that Zerg was going to be able to do about that one until the Stalkers were gone. He's trying to get another surround right here on one of the, well, high HP Stalkers here. The Natural is actually in so much trouble here. Now, even when you kill the Natural, though, how good is this position here really for Fjant? Because the problem is, this is 24 probes versus 13 drones. I actually think Skillous could just re-wall his main ramp and he would maybe be okay. I don't really know. This is a bit of a funky game. Twilight Council starts up. I don't really know exactly what we're going to do with a Twilight Council here. I don't think any of the Twilight units here, or maybe Dark Templar, I mean, that would be nice, but I don't think that would really achieve a whole lot. We just need more units. I actually think that the original plan of going for a forge would have been really nice here. Zerglings trying to hunt down whatever they can, and now drones are, or sorry, the Protoss drones. The probes are starting to fall. 7 workers have gone down right here for our Protoss player, but he still has more than his opponent. Okay, Spine Crawlers slowly moving forward. There is, I guess, an Overlord here as well, at least potentially to provide high ground vision. So if Protoss does decide to re-wall over here, the Spines could be helpful in that department. Very exposed Cybernetics core, though, once again. Yeah, he's just making as many slow Zerglings here as he can possibly afford. This hatchery out front is actually really nice. The Queen is pushing the creep forward. I think these Spines are planning on going to the high ground. Robo facility right now starts up for Skillous, which is nice and all, but I'd really, like, okay, Prism would be good. But at this rate, yeah, you're not gonna get any of those units out. Oh, God. Dirty, dirty cheese right here by Fjant, man. Skillous has been looking really strong over the last half year or so. I mean, he's been good for a long time, but he's really been stepping it up. Goes down, I think, to one of the dirtiest cheeses I've seen in a while. You know, battery overcharge is done at this point. The problem is, yeah, now the creep is spreading into the main base right now of our Protoss player, and that means that those two bad boys from the low ground move up towards the high ground. Queen is still just spreading creep wherever it can. That's another cancel right there on, I think, another gateway. He's just attacking, though, through the shield batteries, which is kind of funny. For the longest time, whenever we see a shield battery, right, players just back off immediately. But in this particular instance, it's still not game over, though. He's just been fighting the shield batteries. He's just been, well, letting them use up all their energy, and then he continues going. The Lings do deal a lot of damage. They don't need Zerglings or Zergling speed or whatever to increase their damage per second, right? Anyways, the Spines right now are getting dangerously close. Additional Zealots are spawning. Probes right now pulled away as well. They're trying to do a little bit of probe drilling, which is actually really powerful. But now, yeah, the workers are starting to die. 10 probes have gone down. 8 workers remain right now for Skillous. Fjant finally grabs the economical advantage here, and he's not done yet. Another battery overcharge is being used, but the worker count is already in such a bad spot. GG is called, and it's Fjant who wins game number 1. Game 2, we find ourselves on the map Dragon Scales. Okay. Curious to see if we're gonna go for a little bit more cheese right here as well. Maybe not the result, though, that Skillous was expecting, right? So, yeah. I honestly wonder, though, what that game would have looked like if Skillous was a little bit more decisive, right? So we had that second gateway that originally was meant to be a forge. He ended up losing those first 2 zealots because they got a little bit overly ambitious. A stalker transition rather than adepts. We had one of the shield batteries very exposed out front. We did also have that recall on one of the stalkers. The second cybercore was also in a position that I don't think was quite optimal. The Twilight Council and then the Robo facility. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about any of those decisions. Anyways, of course, that's one of the strengths of cheese, right? When your opponent isn't too familiar with it, you build something on their side of the map that they haven't really got too much experience against. There's certainly a chance that you can catch them off guard. And I think that previous game was a great example of Skillous being a little bit confused. Okay, this time around though, Fjant's opening up with a hatchery first. This probe was here very early, so the natural got blocked. He's forced to take it at the 3rd base location. Gas geyser on the back of this, spawning pool on the back of this as well. This is all a very, very normal. Okay, so if we're gonna be playing a normal game, I'm curious to see how well Fjant does against Skillous, because there's no denying that Skillous has been looking very impressive over the last while. He's been looking very strong in just straightforward games. Nothing all too crazy, nothing all too feisty, but certainly, yeah, very stellar gameplay. I'm assuming this will be some sort of Stargate opener. That seems to be the most comfortable style. Although Skillous has also gone for some Glaive to Depth play. I've seen him go for a variety of strats. Most of the time, though, whenever Protoss players want to feel comfortable, it's gonna be that Stargate army, just because Stargate units are really good when it comes to, well, dealing damage to the Zerg, but also when it comes to securing a 3rd base and forcing the game to go on a little bit longer. Now, of course, even though this is a macro start right here from Fjant, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be a macro game. He could certainly go for a Link Flood, he could go for a Beeling Bust, a Roach Ravager all in, Nidus Worms, Swarm Hosts, all the rest of it, you name it. There's still a lot of aggressive pushes, okay, that he can actually pull off if he wants to. Now, Skillous decides to go for a Twilight Council here. I don't mind the idea for going Glaive to Depths here, especially if you manage to block your Zerg's natural expansion. So, at this point, Fjant is going to be very disconnected. There will be a hatchery here, of course, and eventually these bases are going to be connected with creep. But the margin for error when Zerg plays this way is incredibly small. Zerg does not really have a lot of wiggle room. So I'm assuming this is going to be Adepts. It just is, well, when you're going for a Twilight Council, the best opener. You could also go Dark Templar into Archon drops. But when Zerg is already right over here on top of it, I don't think that is what we're going to see. Yeah, he hasn't started up anything yet. He's got the money for it. Okay, yeah, there we go. So it is going to be the Glaives upgrade. Okay. So for Zerg, as with basically any attack, they need to figure out, okay, what exactly is my optimal response? How many drones do I make? That Overlord actually lived. How many drones do I make? When do I start up the Roach Warren? How many gases do I take? When do I take my lair? Usually with this, 3.5 minute Roach Warren, 1 gas, no lair, is the approach. However, one of the problems you run into is that you actually don't really have that many workers. If you look at the worker count right now, 32 versus 35 is certainly not great here for the Zerg. And usually you'll have to stop droning before 40 if you actually want to have a sufficient amount of units out to deal with that aggression from the Protoss player. So any worker you lose is gonna be a problem. It's critical though that we have roaches out by the time that adepts hit the other side of the map. It is also very important that you kind of push back that warp prism a little bit. So, say for example, Skillous is warping in from here. I mean, you need the queens there to, at the very least, slow down the attack in whatever way they can. Because usually, there's going to be multiple rounds of warp-ins. I mean, this is only 4 gateways right here for Protoss right now. It's by no means an all-in, but you gotta be so cautious. Okay, so the Overlord at the very least reveals where the very first warp-in is. Does he have enough stuff right now? 38 drones versus 39 probes. 6 roaches are about to pop. Very good timing on those. Does he commit right here with the shades? He does indeed. Natural expansion here, in a little bit of trouble. Bunch of Zerglings here do find their death. Target firing here is important. 1 roach ended up going down already, and the Zerglings also ended up falling. Okay, more and more links here are going to be in some trouble. Additional shades now forward towards the 3rd base. We should really be targeting drones, and we do start targeting drones here. Okay, 4 workers already. Yeah, and this may very well be that MMR difference between these two. This is by no means a poorly executed defense right here by Fjant, but this is not done. And already, we're talking 34 versus 40 workers. 3rd Nexus starts up right now here for Skillous. Fjant going across the map, trying to see if he can get some damage done here at this 3rd Nexus. And you know what? He may very well be able to kill it, but now he's losing queens at home. Excellent execution here so far by Skillous. He's going to need to warp in some units at home, I guess, if he wants to try and save this. It's going to be real close. Shade in the main base. Lair did start up, by the way. If this would have been a Dark Templar follow-up, this would have been GG. If you don't have detection by, like, usually I think you start spores at, like, 440 or so. So I believe I watched a Lambo video on this a long time ago. I think he mentioned that you go double Spine Crawler, or like at least a single Spine Crawler, at 4 minutes and 10 seconds. So a Spine over here, for example, maybe a Spine over there. And then a Spore Crawler at about 440, just in case it's Glaive Adepts into Dark Templar. If that would have been the case in this game, I think this would have already been game over, because there's absolutely no detection here for the Zerg. Now he's got a lair done, but 34 workers versus 47 is not what you're looking at all. Yeah, that's not, well, it's what you're looking at, but it's not what you're looking for as the Zerg player here whatsoever. Okay, so Blink on the back of this as well here for Skillous. Forge also comes up. 3rd Nexus does get remade. Okay, the roach count is looking kind of nice. Queens finally start hurting that prism a little bit. Yeah, so that would have been nice a little while ago. 2 adepts do decide to commit to the natural. Drones are once again running around, and you can see that this roller coaster of an income advantage is going in favor of the Protoss player right now. And as long as he keeps the Zerg player occupied, and he does not really allow the Zerg on their side of the map, I mean, the Protoss side of the map that is, I think this is going to be a pretty comfortable game here for Skillous, who can just continue the aggression. Yeah, as long as you're here, as long as you're being annoying on the side of the Zerg, it's going to be difficult for Zerg to send all of their units across the map, right? So usually what Zergs like to do is they overmake defenses and then they counterattack. Well, he's been counterattacking with some Zerglings here and there. Honestly, this group of links may very well once again be a dangerous one, though. We don't really have that many units available. I don't like that pylon positioning very much. No way. Oh my god, don't tell me this is going to work. This is one final hurrah right here. Okay, we're gonna do a recall right now on the probes, or on the Protoss Stalkers here instead. We're gonna start working on a couple of the pylons, but this is actually much better than I anticipated it to be. Stalkers will push back the links at the 3rd. They will also get rid of those links in the main base, but now suddenly the roaches are joining the party as well. Fjant is gonna go for one big all-in. 34 drones and a dream against 59 probes. He needs to deal critical amounts of damage. At this point, the army supply count is pretty good right here for Zerg, but obviously Protoss can reinforce this really nicely. Battery overcharge, not to be underestimated either. Okay, good biles here though, forcing all of those stalkers to split up, and that creates more surface area for those Zerglings. Battery overcharge here. Quite annoying, but he does get it done eventually. Nah, I think there's too much right here for Protoss. I mean, don't eat the biles for breakfast. I don't recommend it. But, yeah, no. He's bleeding out too many units. Fjant can't really reinforce this very easily at all. There's just not enough economy here to really contest this Protoss army. He's still making probes as well. Immortal fires up. +1 is going to finish off here as well for Skillous. Okay, I think it's time for Skillous to go for the killer move. Zerglings once again, though, running past the left side of the map, it seems. He wants to go for another counter-attack, it looks like. Yeah, I don't mind that idea. But at some point, this main army here from Protoss is gonna have to be addressed. One photon cannon. It's not gonna be enough. We can't really warp in a whole lot of units here either without them getting sacrificed. Stalkers are working on all of those overlords and whatever else they can pick off. Okay, battery overcharge here, some good positioning. Okay, it's all a little bit dangerous, but yeah, no. Eventually, it is definitely going to be Skillous here who obtains the victory. There's really not a whole lot anymore for our Zerg player to defend, and GG, a well played, is called. Our final game of today, it takes place on the map Ancient Cistern. Now, I actually expected this entire series to be rather cheesy, but so far, I guess it was mostly just game number 1, huh? Very fun game, of course, but I think winning twice in a row with a build order like that would be very, very difficult to pull off. I don't think it will really happen, so Fjant decides to play a normal opener once again. This time around, it's not going to be a Twilight Council opener, it's going to be a Stargate start right here from Skillous. Okay. Now, much like the Twilight Council opener, defending against the Stargate opener is also very delicate. Maybe you don't get punished quite as hard, right? So say, for example, you mess up against the Adepts, it's gonna be game over within a minute or two. Against Oracles, usually they'll play with their food for a little bit because Oracles themselves don't really end the game. But, yeah, the follow-up attack. Usually right now in the current meta, that would be, Twilight Council into, well, Blink and all that, right? Nice little bit of micro here by Fjant, trying to get that very first Adept. Okay, it looks like he won't get it, but that was still kind of painful, though, because normally the Adepts, they go hand in hand together with the Oracle. Okay. We should be seeing a third Nexus as well pretty soon here for Skillous. So Fjant actually just decides to play a straight-up game here. That surprised me maybe a little bit, yeah. I mean, he could obviously still go into aggression if he wants to. Additional links already waiting in the main base. So we've had quite a few Zerglings made in this game so far. It's very easy at this point as well to forget about a Spore Crawler. Okay, one Adept does fall here eventually, but I think she got, well, them together. They've got a drone as well as 6 links. Not a bad start here whatsoever for our Protoss, who's now coming across the map as well with the Oracle. Okay. Queens are out. Double creep tumor, it looks like. No Spore Crawler at the third base. Skillous is not going to be met by the Queens because the Adept is over here as well. The Queens are busy. One drone actually gets attacked there for a little bit. A few more workers end up falling, and maybe this drone is not going to be too far behind either, although, nah. That one will be saved for now. No pressure at all at the third Nexus, though, because Fjant has already been behind in the work account for quite a while. He really needs to catch up in that department. Twilight Council on the back of this here for Skillous. And so far, this is looking really, really good right here for our Protoss. Still no Spore Crawler at the third base, and Skillous realizes that too. I mean, he hasn't checked in a little bit, but he is gonna make the assumption that he can grab a couple more kills here. Overlord in some trouble. Here go the Oracles once again. That's 1 drone, 2 drone, 3 drone, 4 drone, 5 drone. Yep. Counting with Lowko. Who said my videos weren't educational? Fun for the whole family. 34 drones versus 44 probes at this point, though, is a bit of a disaster right here. Yeah, so honestly, this may just be the MMR difference between these two. Fjant obviously, well, a Grandmaster level player, right? But Grandmaster itself has a huge variety in skill level. You can be a Grandmaster at like 5,000 MMR, and then it goes all the way up to like 7.5k, which is pretty crazy. The skill level within those few hundred ranks is staggering. It is staggering. Okay, we're gonna go for a Nidus network. I don't mind it. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. The work account has been a bit of a problem, but as long as Skillous is in the right place at the right time, he should have all of the tools at his disposal to win this game. Okay, one Oracle? Okay. That's something. That's the first something we've had in a while. But a lot of links have gone down. A few more Zerglings actually just get sacrificed as well on the other side of the map. I'm assuming the Nidus network is gonna go up over here. There should really be a pylon in this area right now. Yep. Okay, Skillous is on point, man. Look at this. That's beautiful. So he sees it. He sees it right away. Now, does he have a warp in available? He might not be able to warp in right now. He really should try, though. Stalkers in the meantime on the other side of the map. One of the Stalkers apparently gets hurt as well here by for no apparent reason. Don't really know exactly what's going on there. Anyways, all of the links are needed at home for the time being, it looks like. Queens are inside of the main base, though. Nicely done right here by Fjant. This is difficult to break, but at this point, the reinforcements here for Protoss should be overwhelming. Probably don't want to get your Stalkers lost over here. Good positioning, though. Tucking all of your units here in between the gas, as well as that, well, what do you call it? Like the pillar over here in the back. Queens in the meantime, though, going to town. But Queens aren't particularly fast off creep, right? So the slow warp in here, I actually don't mind it from Skillous. He's just slowly warping in units, trying to see if he can defend this all in time. He can always recall and get these units back to safety if he wants to. That Oracle is must... Yeah, in 9 kills right now, it probably is going to get a couple more. Recall is going to be used. Imagine if the second Oracle was here as well. Links are going to have to load into the worm as well and get into the main base of our Protoss. Battery overcharge already used. A whole lot of creep tumors are available. Okay. There's the additional gateways finishing up, though. Yeah, 2 of them at least are finishing up. 2 more on the back of it, too. Yeah, photon cannons are available. We can go back all we want, but the clock's ticking, man. 45, well, drones versus 65 for Protoss. Normally, this would be the point in the game where Zerg is ahead in the work account, right? At this particular point, that is no longer the case. Assuming Skillous just warps in as many units as he can possibly warp in, I don't see how he's not going to be able to win the game here. He's going to go for a 4th Nexus. I don't think we really need a 4th Nexus in this game. There's a 4th hatchery coming up too, but I think that's mostly just for the larva. Hydra then on the back of this for Fjant. Evo chamber as well. So he's playing this like he's got full 3-base saturation. I like all of these moves if he had 66 drones here. Maybe this is also a little bit of confusion though on Skillous' side, right? He's looking at this, he's like, what? Everything is normal on the side of the Zerg. I just did, yeah, take a bunch of damage in my main base. It's by no means a comfortable game, so maybe it could be a bit of a misread. Okay. That Overlord, by the way, has been long gone. So no way for Zerg to get another Nidus worm up in the main base. Fjant finally trying to squeeze out a few more drones again. He's got loads and loads of links. Still seems to be pushing back all of these units. But this Protoss army, yeah, it's a ticking time bomb right now. Fjant must know this as well. He's going into Hydras, which in theory can be good, but generally speaking, not the best unit in these sort of scenarios. He wants to try and see if he can just make non-stop army and try to see if he can go for one big all-in. I think that's probably the plan. 58 drones right now, but the army supply count here is massive for Skillous. He's all the way up to 69. Nice. Trying to get some damage in. Got a lot of Blink Stalkers available. Reinforcements do show up as well from the other side of the map. At this point, there's 8 gateways in total, but I've got a feeling that there's no way for Fjant to obtain the victory here, as GG, a well played is called, and it's indeed Skillous who obtains the victory.